I just met one of my Airbnb neighbors as I was leaving the Airbnb. He was the one across from me. And it's funny how much you can clock about a person in like literally a second. Just on for 1 second, nodded hello. But this guy was wearing, it was like all black, like a black bodysuit almost, and like a little black cap. That it looked like he was from the Life Aquatic, except his cap wasn't red. So I don't know if he's French or Belgian or what, but he's not American. I'd bet $1 billion that guy's not from America. He just has just his outfit. I don't know. However, I don't mean to mock or anything. It's just funny to notice these, cultural things that are so distinctive. If anyone's getting mocked, it's me, because the fucking second I saw the guy, then I hit my head on the fucking door frame. So he also only saw me for 1 second. And all he knows about me is, oh, that guy must be an idiot. What a moron. Because, yeah, since that Airbnb is the 60s and 70s style, when I was at the Chiba Museum of the different eras of dwelling, it's definitely the 60s, 70s style. And yeah, I keep forgetting it's the second time I've hit my head on that door. Thing is like fucking 5.5 feet tall. It's fucking really small. I feel kind of alright now that I'm out of the house and I'm walking, but man, I've been burning the candle at both ends. Like, I went to bed pretty late, like probably 1 in the morning, maybe even 1:30, but I didn't wake up till noon. I woke up a bit in the very early morning, but that's plenty of sleep. But I still just feel like a wrecking ball hit me. It's just like, fuck, holy shit. My body's telling me to fucking cut it out. These insanely long days of hiking up a mountain and then hiking clear across Fukuoka. But I'm glad I did it because I got that insanely hot 20, 22 degree, really hot summer weather. And then it started cooling down a lot after the sun went down. And yet today feels like fall. I guess we'll see what's in my future. But it's very overcast. Clouds everywhere. Overcast, but like not, I don't think it's gonna rain. Sure hope not, I didn't bring my umbrella. It doesn't feel like rain, it just seems like clouds. And I think it's supposed to be 14 degrees, but it does not feel it. Holy shit. I'm wearing my little stretchy gloves and I got 2 layers on, 2 different, like a hoodie and a jacket. So I still want to get out and soak up the sun because I only will have, and by the time I finally got my shit together, it's like 1 o'clock. So I got like 3 hours before it gets dark. So have just no major adventures today. The thing I was thinking is I realized yesterday when I was at the seaside park by Fukuoka Tower, I was looking on Google Maps, like what are these other islands out in the bay? And you can get to one of them apparently on the normal subway. And I've also realized, I think I realized on the way home last night, I think there are some additional train lines in Fukuoka. I'm not as abandoned as I thought, I don't think, but it's really weird. Where I know the different train lines are owned by different companies. And that kind of confused me when I first got to Tokyo as well in 2019. I got some kind of a subway app, but the app showed everything except the main JR loop around Tokyo. So it worked, but I had to take these weird circuitous routes through all these different subway lines owned by different people. And it only took me a couple of days. You can't really miss the big JR loop because it goes in a loop all the way around Tokyo. I was like, now what the heck is this? Like, this is a part of the system too, right? And for whatever reason, it just wasn't in my app. So I wonder if this is similar. It's like, in this case, it's the reverse. When you go on the subway in Fukuoka, you only see the 2 main lines. It doesn't show anything else. But there seems to be like a commuter train that has like 90 stops that goes, all the way across the region. But just the one stop that's closest does seem to be near me. But then I think there's another train too. I walked underneath it yesterday. And as usual, I'm sure this is all really obvious to the locals, but I just don't quite know what's going on. It seems to just be a normal above ground, subway, superway. It seems to connect to Tenjin or Hakata Station or something. But I did a little searching, and just if you search the stations or the line, the information is extremely scant. And when you search on Google Maps and tell it you want to go by subway, it does not send me to any of those stations. It just tells me to walk all the way to Hakata Station first. So that was my potential plan, was just to experiment with one of these stations and try to go out to the island in the bay. But just as I got up and started moving around, and it's just like, oh man, I feel so shit today, I just can't. And now that I'm up and at 'em, I do feel a lot better, but that's a long journey, I'll just get there, it'll immediately become dark, I'll have to come back. Not a good plan for today. What is a good plan for today is cafe latte from a vending machine. Here's some vending machine ASMR. ASMR, yeah. Like a giant clunk is really delightful ASMR. And now that the weather has gotten cold, man, these hot drinks from the machine, fucking delightful. This one is like a little, instead of a can with a pull tab, this one's like a little bottle-shaped can. Oh, delightful. Bring me back to life. Okay, too much traffic around here. Let me get the hell out of here. Here's a sign I've never seen before. It's just one of these nice little children's parks. Got a washroom, importantly, as I'm always interested in. But it's an evacuation area. Specifically, let's see what type of disaster I perhaps might need to evacuate from. Nakajohara Park, temporary evacuation site, and then the ward. So I guess just all-purpose evacuations. I suppose because this is a seaside city, there must be typhoon type stuff. I was just wondering if it was going to say anything about, I don't know what the volcano status is around here. I know if you go further south from here, there is a city, I don't remember the name of it, but Tokyo Lens did a video about it where there is an active volcano that is just constantly spewing ash. And it is an interesting situation to say the fucking least. The kids going to school have to wear helmets because there could be falling debris, like literal rocks falling from the sky. And all the residents have these special garbage bags, these big yellow bags, because they have to sweep up ash and put the ash in the bags and then put the bags on trucks and then get the ash out of there because there's constantly ash raining from the sky. And it's not like a lot of people live there, but more than nobody. And it's like, holy fuck. That's pretty fucking, that's wild. But I don't know how active the Fukuoka area is in that regard. I was wondering too, I don't know what weather authority I'm actually looking at, because usually in Canada I would specifically go to the government weather website because it's really interesting because it gives you the weather forecast, but also it'll tell you stuff like what was the coldest it has ever been on this day, going back to I think the 60s, and what's the warmest it has ever been on this day. And it's quite disturbing where there were some times when I was stuck back home during COVID where the weather is crazy variable in Eastern Canada, but there were some days where it's like, wow, this is actually nearing the coldest it has ever been. Crazy. But yeah, the reason I bring that up is, for this, I don't know, I just Googled what's the weather in Fukuoka. Don't even click on anything, just whatever Google says. But that 14 degrees, there's no fucking way. It is, I would characterize today as cold. It's like 10 degrees. I'm wearing little gloves and I ain't taking them off. I've got two hoods. I've got like a fluffy hood on my hoodie and then a proper windbreaker hood on top of that. And every time, because it is kind of in the middle, it's like it's cold, but it's not freezing. But if I try to take down one of these fucking hoods, immediately the wind level is like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Man, this is a weird thing too. If you've never tried just podcasting yourself, I was just thinking as I was walking, like, man, I just feel like shit today. But not in the way of like I'm sick or anything. It is just exhaustion. But just that sort of pounding in the head and just like, it's like, oh, I'm kind of glad it's going to be dark soon. I can just go home, It's good that it's not beautiful summer weather spurring me to stay up and go out and do stuff or venture too far from home because I'm just fucked today. But once I pull this recorder out and start talking, it's just stupid shit. It's not anything important. It's the fucking weather, the temperature. But it's like it gives me something to focus on. Now I feel fine. While I'm rambling, I feel fine. Which, alright, here's a weird little side thing. I just saw a video about this yesterday, but this has always been on my mind because it's so fascinating. So there's a channel called Go North Japan, a guy named Quinlan. And he works with people in northern Japan with like tourist agencies and stuff to help promote it and does tours and stuff. And one of the things that they did up there is they had a series of, scenic nature type coastal stuff. And they managed to connect them all. And the whole thing is like 1,000 kilometers or something. It would take 2 months, he said, to do the whole thing. And it gets pretty dicey at parts because there's the pre-existing, already developed tourism type spots. But to get between them is not always, it's a lot of stuff that they've kind of established recently. So there literally might be like weird fucking ladders and stuff you gotta go up and down. But it looks fucking so cool. And obviously I could not do a 2-month hike. That's where I would need someone else, hike with someone else for 2 months, do the whole thing. I mean, something about that does sound pretty fucking awesome. Like, can you imagine? Can you imagine if you did the whole thing? But he was pitching, trying to get tourists to go up north because so few people do. And he's like, you don't have to do the whole thing. You can do like a few days, you can do a week, you can do 2 days, you can do whatever. And one of the things they set up is there's parts of this trail where you can have your bag sent ahead of you. Like have your heavy bag sent ahead to a hotel that's waiting for you. So you can just have the light day stuff, just your nice little day pack with your snacks and your drinks as you go along. And man, that sounds good, because that would be by far the worst part for me. I certainly wouldn't mind spending 2 months of my life hiking along the edge of a coastline. That would be fucking sweet. But even just this little bag, it does make my shoulder, I can feel a little pressure on my shoulder because I have a bad shoulder. Like if there was some way I could walk this coastline without the luggage, like I guess I need a pack mule is what I need. That'd be perfect. Hiking with all your heavy stuff, that would be the problem. That's what would make it not feasible really for me. Or at least when I hike across Tokyo, I can put the bag in wheelie mode and just wheel it along the sidewalk, but you obviously can't do that in nature. So this is all stuff well beyond my comfort and experience level, but if anybody wants to get me the ultimate birthday present some year, set up find somebody to help me hike for like 2 weeks along the coastline in northern Japan and set it up so that the bags are being sent ahead and I don't have to carry heavy stuff. It'd be fucking amazing. That's where being a super millionaire would be handy. Because I always find it weird, like with Everest and Sherpas, it's like it seems so extra unimpressive to go up Everest when you're going up with a Sherpa who does it all the time. Like, how come the Sherpas aren't the heralded ones? The Sherpas have got it down pat. Like, who cares what everyone else is doing? The Sherpas are so much more impressive. They got that shit on lock. So I want a similar situation though. I want a trail Sherpa to help me. And it's okay that I'm not impressive. I don't want to be impressive. I want to be the biggest wuss in the world. I want all the help I could ever get. But then I still do want to do that, you know? I've wandered back into traffic and just, the way Fukuoka seems to be set up is, I don't know, with Tokyo it was a little easier to just ramble through neighborhoods. Fukuoka really seems to be set up with very distinct high traffic veins, these streets that are the major streets. And then within those, there are the individual neighborhoods. But you can't really get from one neighborhood to another, or you can't really easily cut through. You just inevitably always end up back on one of these major streets, which is good for navigation. It's just bad for podcasting. So let's hold on till I get away from this traffic once again. There, I've gotten to still a little bit of traffic, but this is a lot quieter. I'm just crossing a bridge over a nice little river. Is this a river? Maybe it's a lake. Pretty much at the foot of the mountains. I don't see where it goes to. Maybe it is a lake. But basically I left the house and I thought, I could go explore Tully's, go sit in a coffee shop. But then I left the house and literally 30 seconds of walking from my Airbnb, there's a break in the buildings and I see the mountains. And it's the same kind of feeling as in Vancouver, like just seeing the mountains. It just made me feel good every morning. Just like, look at them mountains. That's good shit. Maybe it was 5:30 in the goddamn morning and I had to get up to go work at a fancy award-winning cheesecake coffee shop. But just seeing the dim outline of the mountains and the lights up there as it got lighter, it just feels good. Then you wake up later in the day and just there's the full mountains and it also feels good. Similar thing here. I love seeing mountains in the distance. But the difference is in Vancouver, the mountains are pretty far away. You got to take a ferry to North Van and then a bus. Where here, the mountain is like, it's fucking right there. It's really close. So I just started walking toward the mountain because I, have all my experiences over by Umebayashi Station where you're ludicrously close to the mountain. But here it's not exactly far. It's like an hour away at most. And it's just neat to see, even just from a distance looking at it, it's like, all right, this looks quite a bit like how it is over by Umebayashi. I assume it's this way all along the foot of the mountain. Anywhere in the city that's populated is just, you can see the neighborhood encroaching on the mountain more and more at different points. Like at some points, the houses don't go that far up, but at others they go surprisingly high up, and it's that same look as over there. I'm talking about these like they're like different places. They're only different places on foot, with a car it's like a fucking 6-minute drive. It's all the same. It's all the same neighborhood essentially. It's only my pedestrian life that causes me to even think of these as different places. But you can just see the buildings flowing up the side, cascading up the side of the mountain. Though here, right in front of me, I'm seeing it's a very distinct break point here, where I'm walking up an incline, up a relatively quiet street. And then there's a big wall, and there is a house up at the top of that wall. And then behind that house is rock. It's like sheer rock. And then on top of that is trees. And then on top of that is the top of the mountain. This is obviously not one of the higher points of the mountain. But it's like, yet there it is. They built right up to the rock, right up till they couldn't build no more. So that's what I thought I'd do today, is just walk toward the mountain, because it just feels good. It draws me. If there's a big mountain, how do I not walk to the mountain? I'm not gonna go walk to a coffee shop. I'm gonna walk to the goddamn mountain. It's a fucking mountain. And then I just, as usual, just want to see what's gonna happen. presumably I'll just kind of get stymied, because that's what happened to me at Umebayashi. I had to find the one very distinct entrance point with the semi-hidden steps that went up to a real path. Because then other entrances, they sort of kind of exist, but it's like the other episode the other day when I came down the mountain in a random place and it really didn't count as a path. I did that in 2019 as well. I came off the mountain over near Sawara Ward because I had just lost track of the trail. So I was like, all right, this is in that case it was quite easy. The incline wasn't very steep. And I just walked down till I hit a highway and that was that. So you couldn't really reverse engineer those routes. It's not that hard to get off the mountain, but getting on the mountain you need to find the entrance. You got to find the way in. So I presume I'm not going to find a way in today. But that's fine. I only got a couple hours of light anyway. Today is no day to be climbing mountains. I just want to see how the neighborhood works. Gather a little more info about what living in a foothill neighborhood is like. Yeah, like I just turned the corner from that house I was describing before. And yeah, whatever little part of the mountain this is not really the mountain proper. Because now that I've turned the corner, I'm still walking uphill. But there's a big expanse now. There's a big opening on one side where there's not really buildings. Well, then kind of in the distance there are. I think that's a baseball field maybe? And then behind that are the real mountains. Which again, yeah, probably a lot further than they seem. Oh, there's the Fukuoka Tower. Nice. That's fucking far away. I will not be walking to you today, my towery friend. It's not that big of a tower by tower standards, but it's just enough to stick out. But yeah, there's actually other buildings that I can see on the horizon that are almost, they look the same height, but I mean, it's all relative. They're probably a lot closer. But yeah, a nice, perfect do-nothing day. Just walk around and try to assimilate information in a passive, diffused way type of day. Because that peninsula, that island in the bay that you can get to on the subway, deep in my memory banks, I was like, I'm pretty sure I've heard about this somewhere. I was like, I think it's that, I mentioned her once before, but Cakes with Faces is the YouTube channel. It's a British lady named Amy, and she's just one of my favorite Japan fucking vloggers. She just travels around, talks about Japan. She wrote a whole book about visiting Japan. And I remember when Japan first reopened, seeing her initial vlogs going back to Japan. Yeah, it's totally parasocial, but I was like, man, this is fucking sweet. I feel very happy for her, because the whole time during COVID, all she could do was, rely on her previous trips to Japan and just talk about, here's the new stuff that's opened, here's the new things that are available, here's all the new stuff I'm gonna do. She's much more a go do stuff oriented traveler, as I guess is everyone except me. But yeah, when she finally got to go back, it was fucking exciting. So yeah, 5 years ago, she went to that park. But she said almost nothing about it because her and her husband got there kind of later in the day. They didn't have a ton of time. You can rent like bicycles, but they were too late for that. And it was like a lot of, like I was saying last episode about the botanical gardens, seems like a lot of that type of stuff. You pay to go to an aquatic show or to go to this park or that park, or like, I don't know, pools and slides and stuff. Stuff that would not interest me, but then there's another island connected to it. She said it's also a lot bigger than it seems. Not just something you can easily stroll around in an afternoon. But yeah, the JR stations, Umi no Nakamichi and Sairozaki, are at one side of this island, but if you go all the way to the other, and then, yeah, there's a big bridge. Like, I don't know how traversable any of this is on foot. Oh, maybe, because the bridge is referred to as a beach. Maybe you can walk along the side of this thing as a beach. But then there's this other island, which would be a lot easier to tell you about if Google Maps wasn't such an annoying piece of shit. Shikashima. And over here is like a park. Parks and shrines. A cafe. A hot dog restaurant. An observatory. Yeah, I get the feeling Shikanoshima Island is kind of what I'm going to be aiming for, but I'm going to need to get there as early as I can, because this is all probably a lot more travel than it appears. So yeah, today a nice healthy heaping plate of nothingness, please, of going to nowhere for no reason. Because yeah, even just here, I'm just kind of at like this railing. All that's here is just like sort of construction equipment, some ladders that seem like they've been here for a long fucking time, general debris, a little fence, but then out across it is just like a little more city and the mountains. And man, I feel like I could just stare at mountains for a long fucking time. I fucking love mountains. There's power lines heading up over the mountains. And like one little thing that might be a building. I don't know. There must be other observation decks beyond just the Aburiyama Kate one that I went to. Yeah, I don't know, I'll have to look into that more, because yeah, generally I do find research is annoying at best. Stuff like with the subways today, it's like, man, there's just not an easy way to figure out what's going on here with these other subway lines. It's just surprisingly annoying. It's going to be easier just to walk to one and just see what happens. Just try to get on one and directly experience it. But stuff like observation decks in the mountains, that definitely requires previous research. Can't just wander through the mountains and expect to find an observation deck. Because even the Aburiyama Kate one, even though I knew it was there, it took me, man, I don't know, a week and a half or something. I went up that mountain so many times before I actually found the observation deck. But again, I was coming up the back way through the weird, obscure entrance. I kind of realized from where I am, because there is like a paved path and a road that go up there. Those would actually be a lot easier for me to access from where I am, from where my Airbnb is. And maybe I should just go up the front way and then explore the mountain further from there. Oh man, I just went a little higher up. It makes such a difference. I have a perfect view across the city to the Fukuoka Tower. Cool. But yeah, again, there's the tower on one side, and then over to the right, the other end of town, it's just a power tower, power line tower, but it's taller. I mean, it's on top of a mountain, but it's like, it looks the same as Fukuoka Tower. Fukuoka Tower, not that big. But yeah, this chilly weather too, it's kind of nice, Oh, and actually, the skies are clearing up a little. I just realized they're not just slate gray, they're getting to be kind of blue. Nice. But yeah, it'd be nice to have a happy middle, perhaps, and that could still be what happens. But yeah, these like 22-degree days, it was too much, dude. So because I lost my passport in 2019, basically what happened is I always kept my passport in my bag and just left it behind. Supposedly you're supposed to have it on you in case a cop stops you. But I figured, if that did happen, I could just, if the cop really wanted to see my passport bad enough, I could take him to the Airbnb and just show him my passport. I didn't want to have it on me. I figured it was safer just to keep it in my bag. But then by Nakaitabashi, I was staying in a communal place with other people, which was not something I often did then, and still sort of strive not to now. So I did just leave my bag in the Airbnb generally, because it's like, hey, whatever. What's in there that matters? Who gives a shit? Worst case scenario, if someone stole my laptop, I'll just buy another one at that point too. I actually have a good laptop now, which is a little bit of a downside for traveling. It's like, oh no, I have an expensive laptop now. Back then my laptop was shit. So I did not care. But I didn't want to leave the passport because I thought maybe that's the one thing that someone might actually take that actually could be useful and that I would be fucked without. So I had my passport with me, but it was summer and it was really hot. So I just had it in the inside pocket of my hoodie. And it wasn't, nowadays all my layers have pockets with zippers. It's very handy to have the zipper. You can put something in your pocket and it ain't coming out. Even if it's something as little as just a coffee can from a drink machine that you just have to keep on you till you find a garbage, you know? It's just a lot easier with a zipper. But I didn't have a zipper on my hoodie pocket back then. So I just put it in this interior pocket, but I wasn't wearing the hoodie most of the time because it was too hot out. So I just had it around my waist or over my shoulder or whatever. And at some point, the passport just fell out. I don't know when, I don't know where. It was just days later. I was like looking through all my stuff and it's like, there's just no passport here. It's just gone. And I am quite sure that I just lost it, like it didn't get stolen, because the people at the passport office, they were actually quite surprised that it hadn't been returned. Because just again with like the basic sort of honor system of Japan that I've already seen evidence of like many times all over the place in Japan, from little vegetable stands all the way up to big department stores, the level of security is so much lower than North America because they just trust that you're not going to skirt the system and you're not going to try to fuck with things, you're not going to steal stuff. And Japanese people are pretty famous for like any time a wallet gets returned to a police station that the money's still in it and stuff like that. Where in North America, maybe someone will return your wallet, maybe, but the money will certainly be gone. I actually found an abandoned wallet, like a purse, in my hometown. Somebody had just scattered all the shit, but it was like ID and things that maybe were important. And of course, anything valuable, money, credit cards, those were gone. But I gathered up all the stuff, put it back in the purse, and I could see the address because, you know, it was ID and things, driver's licenses and whatnot. And the house was like a 40-minute walk away, so I just went and put it in their mailbox. I hope it helped, but that's the best you're gonna get in Canada, you know. Whereas in Japan, it was pretty much like taken as a given that if someone had found my passport, they would just return it. They would return it to the police station, and no one did. So yeah, I presume it just fell in a gutter or something somewhere on one of my many weird walks or out in the woods or something. And it was gone. So this time, my ma actually had just a very simple little item, but just something I wouldn't have thought of to get for myself. It's just one of these like little like a passport pouch, a little satchel thing that you just wear under your clothes. So I got my passport and a backup bank card just nicely tucked under my shirt all the time. And this is one thing where it's very nice to have the weather getting colder, because today it's fine. It's just normal. I'm generally not an extremely sweaty person. This thing's dry as a bone right now. But yesterday with that heat, God, when I got home and took that thing off, it was just gross. Like, thank God I thought I put the passport in a plastic bag before I put it in this little satchel thing. Because I was a little concerned about rain, though it hasn't rained at all while I've been here. But it turns out it actually protected the passport from my repulsive sweat. It was just soaked with sweat. And here's some steps that appear to go up into the woods. See if the sign is translatable. Request: the Southern Park asks you to use quietly because there are houses closely. After 11 o'clock, especially after 10 o'clock, the sound of fireworks should not be done. Okay, so it's basically just saying be quiet at night because there's houses around here. But here another set of semi-nightmare steps, but maybe I have found some steps that'll lead me into the woods, into the mountains, which again, this is not the day for that. But yeah, I had to take my passport out of the little pouch thing, wipe down the plastic bag it was on because it was so gross and just hand wash this thing. I'm not ready to do proper laundry yet. But yeah, it was just soaked. Like, summer is just the same way I have the philosophy that fun is not fun. You know, when people do stuff that's supposed to be fun, I just find it a little stressful and I'd prefer just to do nothing. Doing nothing is fun. Fun is not fun. Same thing with summer. Summer's not nice. You know? Oh, it's so warm out and it's so sunny. Yeah, that sucks. That sucks fucking shit. It's sweaty. You get sunburned. You're blinded from the sun. It's miserable. I hate the summertime. Summer can fuck right off. So yeah, this is a bit of a transition, bit of a sudden snap to coldness. But it's already better just purely for this alone. I'm not sweating to death and I'm walking uphill. And now, yeah, that view I was saying, this is even way better. This is awesome now. All right, here we go. Kashihara Minami Park. Kashihara Minami Park. And yeah, I'm right at the base of those rocks I was describing at the top of this mountain. Oh, and there's a little playground, a very small little playground up here. And yeah, hell of a view. It's all fenced off though. There's a fence in the way because this is pretty dangerous to climb from here. But then also more houses, just houses up here. No matter how high up I get, there's more houses. Ooh, that wind. Holy shit, yeah, I can see all over the region. This is fucking pretty good. Oh. This looks like a little, I think this park has a little wading pool that is empty, of course. None of that this time of year. Yeah, and sometimes there is on Google Maps a little green dots to signify a path into. Oh, and there is one. Not necessarily close to here. I'd have to go down and around to like the next little block over by the Yamabukinamori Adult Daycare. There's a little walking path line. Very interesting. That leads to a golf course. Why wouldn't it? All right. This seems like something very worth exploring in the future. Not today. Again, maybe today. But nah, I'm too wiped. Too wiped to be walking through a fucking mountain trail. But also too close to darkness. But yeah, I think Japan has come through again. Just randomly wander and you'll find something cool. Cool. So even on today's exhausted, low energy trudge, got some stuff set up for tomorrow. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I don't need to circle all the way around to the adult daycare, because what is this? This looks like a path. Here's a map, handwritten, so unfortunately my translator can do nothing. Wow, this is pretty nice. I've never seen a map like this, but it's like the whole thing is hand painted, not just the lettering. It's a hand painted map of the area. And there's 3 routes. One is 300 meters, 400, 600. Not quite sure where they all go. A, B, and C. But presumably they all go somewhere. Oh yeah, and this is a very well maintained path. This one is no problem. This is a real path in these woods. It's not a bullshit path from fucking 20 years ago that barely exists anymore. Shit, this is pretty cool. God damn it, what time is it? Yeah, it's only 2:30. I'm fine. Wish I'd bought a coffee somewhere before I went in here, but path time. Gonna go explore paths, see what happens. Holy shit, this is nice. What are these trees? Right away, this just looks different. I don't even know what types of trees these are. They're very sparse. They only have leaves way up at the top. It's a little bit more Canadian in that sense, but they're definitely not Canadian trees. And there's just a shit ton of them. Just a whole bunch of really tall trees with bare trunks. So they're super dense, but only because there's like a crap ton of them. Each individual tree is kind of placed apart from each other. Geez, that's one of these cases where when I take a picture, it's like too much. It's visually overwhelming. It just is like a mash of stuff. It's like, what the hell am I looking at? But in person, it looks very good. And yeah, I mean, what was the longest path it said on there? 600 meters? I'm using now as a good gauge that crazy mountain tunnel I went through. That was 1,200 meters. That was a little over a kilometer. And that wasn't so bad. It was just terrifying because of the noise and the darkness and the enclosure of being in a tunnel with cars going by. It was just rattled your brain. But lengthwise, not a big deal. So yeah, 600 meters, that's fucking nothing. It's an easy walk. You know, I don't know if anyone is ever going to listen to these podcasts. I mean, worst case scenario, it'll be fun for me to go back through them as I put out episodes and I'll be like, oh, I remember that day. What a fun day. But maybe, you know, my ultimate fantasy, what if I inspired someone to do this? Not these specific things, just to travel in this style of like, don't do stuff. You don't need to do things. You don't need to make plans, you know? Especially in Japan. Just walk around, dude. Just fucking walk around. And something cool will happen. It happens every time. It's the best. Ooh, I just had a little moment of personal triumph. I thought I was gonna come back in on the podcast and say like, oh well, not everything was magical today. Because so these Bluetooth headphones that I got at Hard Off in Akiruno that I just love because again, it's probably a well-known item that everyone else in the world knows about. But I didn't know you could get Bluetooth headphones that are wired together. But it still feels like magic to me because it's essentially like normal headphones. You know, the wire connecting them, but then there is no third wire. There is no wire that goes to your device of choice. It's just magic. It's like, fuck. I love it. It's so cool. But because they're wired together, they have a little battery on the wire that connects them to keep them alive longer. And having them connected makes it easier not to lose them. Theoretically, but I almost lost them just now because I thought I had them nestled around my neck. Because I got to switch over to normal wired headphones when I use this recorder, just to make sure it's recording okay. It's cannot Bluetooth. So yeah, I just learned a quick lesson. Even though these things have a wire connecting them, don't just put them around your neck. Don't just think they're going to stay nestled behind your neck. Put them in a pocket. The pocket with the aforementioned zipper. Because yeah, I went to go switch over, put on my little Bluetooth headphones, and they'd fallen somewhere. They weren't on my person. Took off all my layers and patted myself down, checked every pocket just in case. So then I hadn't gone very far on this path yet, so I just went back to the park with the good view, just a little ways back. But it definitely engages something very primal in you, just scanning the ground and just like looking, like trying to spot these things. Where could they have fallen? Where did they go? How far back should I even be searching? And I went back to the nightmare steps and I'm like, well, I'm not going down the steps, fuck that. But I was kind of preparing for like, you know, oh well, I lost them. I mean, they were only $20. They were great just to learn that this is a thing that exists. They seem pretty available in Japan. A lot of the used stores have them. But yeah, I went back and then I was circling back toward this way to this path and I spotted them. And it's like, fuck yeah. And it's such a good feeling. Like I'd already basically made my peace with it. But then to find them, it's that little like, yeah, I won the lottery. I won a tiny lottery. Fucking sweet. Geez, I wonder if I had taxed my brain, especially doing that. because I'm really feeling the exhaustion again. It's like, God, I do feel like shit today. I wish I had another coffee really bad. Though, it's probably a good chance that there is a coffee machine on the other end of this path. There often is in Japan. This is pretty easy too. This is not a very steep incline. This is not a going up the side of the mountain type of path. Just going up a little gradually. But yeah, apparently this stuff, wired into our brains, searching to try to find the thing that you need for survival. I heard that's a big thing that gets people with gambling. Like the example I heard was the blackjack table, that supposedly the black and the red, not blackjack, roulette, the roulette table. I've never been a big gambler. I only vaguely know the rules of the various gambling games. But supposedly the black and the red ties into something deep in our primal brains for trying to remember what kind of berries, for example, are safe. It's like, oh, if I eat these black ones, I get a stomach ache, but if I eat the red ones, it's okay, or vice versa. And it's slightly surprising that we're still that easy to manipulate this far into the future. But I guess it makes sense. I mean, we really haven't changed much. There's all those toxin things about if you brought a caveman here, you could probably get him up to speed pretty fast. The caveman's kid would probably be just fine. Okay, so here is, again, handwritten signs, A, B, and C. A is steeper, but I remember C was the longest one. It was the 600 meter. So that's a bonus. I'll take C, because I also just don't want to go up the steep part. Fuck that. I'm not in a hurry. Man, this is pretty. This is nice. The incline is getting a lot steeper in front of me, so let me turn this fucking thing off while I go up the hill. But, to recap, I'm glad that I found these fucking things. It sucks to lose them, but then it's very exciting to find them. So, there's another pointless story, another pointless anecdote for this podcast. Now, let me get to the top of this here hill. This trail is definitely recommended. Trail C. It was, for the first half, a pretty gentle incline, kind of in a valley. So on either side, I couldn't really see anything besides trees because it just went up on either side throughout the whole walk. And then about halfway, it did start getting really steep. There's wooden steps built into the side of the mountain. And that was, going up a mountain style. But the steps were fairly wide, not little narrow death steps. And at each point that it got steeper, there's 3 different points. There was a rope tied to trees along the edge. So you had a rope you could hold on to if you needed to. Pretty much, it's kind of like the platonic ideal of a path. It's not that long. I'm up at the peak now. And there's a small, definitely less traveled path that goes down quite steeply on the other side that appears to go to that golf course. Chiku Shigaoka Golf Club, which I clearly don't want to go there. So then if I continue along, I think it's going to tie into the actual path marked on Google Maps because it's right by me. Maybe I do want to go down that path because then there's a mark on Google Maps. It's a park, but I can't tell the park name because it's not in English. And that connects to the trail. Maybe I will go down there a little bit because it does look like it connects to that main trail. If I continue along here, I'm not really sure what happens. Well, I don't know. This path does just keep going. I guess I'll just keep going because this path C has not steered me wrong so far. It's been extremely well labeled. Anything that was steep, there was a rope. And yeah, what I was thinking about it being the platonic ideal is it's not that tough. It's not that long of a hike. And there's nobody here. I didn't see anybody. And I would be shocked if I did. Because it really is just a random mountain path in a random neighborhood of essentially a random city. You know, it's not, again, it's not special. It's not anything standout. It's just a thing. It's just a feature of the neighborhood. And so yeah, in general, I guess I would just recommend ramble around on your own. That name of this podcast, Roaming Holiday, is, man, Brad nailed it with that suggestion. It's fucking, my friend came up with that idea, and it is, I'm just a Roman, man. That name gets better and better. But if you did want to come do a specific thing that I did, I fully recommend this. It's a little bit obscure, a little bit tough maybe to follow my directions, but it's good. It's very good. However, what's weird is I'm taking a little break here at the top. I saw a fence up here, and I'm like, oh, that's strange, but you do see that quite a bit with power stations or power line poles and stuff. The big, I don't know what the technical name of those is, but the big metal structures that carry power lines. But this appears to just be a sign. It's pretty big, but it's surrounded by a fence with barbed wire, and it immediately drops off in front of it very steeply. So I'm sure it's in Japanese, right? I wouldn't be able to read it anyway. But what the fuck is this? Why is there a sign here? Is it like an advertisement? It would have to be like the most crazily inconvenient advertisement to ever change. How visible is this from down there? The buildings are pretty far away, but I can't even tell what type of sign it is because I can only see the back side, and there's just literally no way to get around to see the front. It's immediate drop off around that fence, just way down a cliffside. So it's like, what the fuck? And it's a bit annoying because I'm sitting right now on, again, how perfect this trail is. There's little wooden benches somebody made that are just made out of wood, but they're really well made. Like, they have metal bits holding the logs together. Like, this is some very sturdy stuff. So I'm sitting here and I have this amazing view. Like crazy. There it is. There's Fukuoka through this opening in the trees. Except there's a gigantic sign right in the middle. Why? What the fuck is this? I hope I can reverse engineer where it is from the ground and see it and just try to determine what is happening. Why the hell is this here? This is fucking weird as fuck. But there's the Peipei Dome, it's called. That's the big stadium here. So if I lean over, yep, there's Fukuoka Tower. It's a little tough to see. It's a bit over to the side. What are all these trees? I don't quite know what that is. There's a big section to the west that's a bunch of trees, and I don't know what those are. Right in the middle of Fukuoka. But yeah, I guess I'm just going to continue along C, because yeah, this other little side path, it appears that it connects to the path marked on Google Maps, which I presume is probably just a more serious path since it made its way onto Google Maps. But I think maybe instead of trying to go connect up to that, because I don't even know what the fuck that is, and if it fails, I'll end up at a golf course, which I don't want to be at. Yeah, I think also, I just realized, I didn't really eat today. What time is it now? Now it's 3:30. Because last night, I had a big bento meal thing that I got yesterday morning from Family Mart that I didn't eat till I got home. So it was just basically a big mound of rice with beef, and then I had half a serving of rice from another bento. So I put it all together at 11 o'clock last night, and I ate a gigantic meal before I went to bed. So just waking up today, even though I only woke up at noon, I just didn't feel hungry. And I walked past a bunch of convenies, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I had a teeny little snack-sized thing of rice crackers that I just had tucked away in my bag. So I ate those, but that's all I've eaten today. So maybe it's not just that I want a coffee. It is just I'm super wiped in general today, but I did not expect to go hiking up the mountain. I probably, even though I still right now, I don't feel hungry, but I probably could have used some food because I definitely, on the way up, all the other days here in Japan, I've just had the energy to push forward. It's I might be a little tired today. Maybe some trains were going by and rumbling my sleep, but I'll just push forward. I'll surge ahead. But the only other day I kind of felt like this was when I went to those castle ruins in Ekiruno. I was pretty wiped out that day. But today is even more so. I just don't have energy. I had to walk up all of these steps really slow and just like, oh man, preview of being 80 years old. Here it comes. It's a strange feeling to just not have energy. But I mean, quote unquote not have energy really wasn't a problem. Here I am, up at the top of the mountain, almost an amazing view. Man, I hope I can figure out what the mystery is of this sign. It couldn't be in a worse spot. It just ruins the view. It's right in the way. And if it is just an ad space, that seems weirdly un-Japanese-like, to just destroy the beautiful view and ruin nature with a big ad. But if it's not an ad, what information could there be on this sign that would be relevant to anyone? It's up in the mountain. It just makes no fucking sense. I can't even guess what's going on here. Very weird. All right, so back to Route C. Stay on Route C. You haven't steered me wrong yet, Route C. Let's keep on keeping on. So just past where I was complaining about the view with the big sign in the way, just a little bit beyond that was the actual peak of that part of the mountain. So that's where the different routes. I didn't see a sign for B, for Route B. Maybe it folded into one of the other routes earlier on, but that's where Route A and C connect. They're both heading to that peak. And there was a thermometer, a little mercury thermometer, where at this point, I'm not getting a lot of views of the sky, but it's very cleared up. It's just like no clouds anymore. It's just beautiful blue sky. And yet the mercury temperature thing said it was 9 degrees. And I was like, nailed it. I fucking knew it. What do you mean, Google? 14 degrees. Are you fucking high? Clearly I cannot rely on the first Google result to actually tell me the temperature of Fukuoka. Because I just knew, it's like, it's not 14 degrees. You don't need 2 layers and stretchy gloves when it's 14 degrees. 9 degrees, once the sky is cleared up and the sun is more or less out, that's more like it. That means it was like 7 or 8 earlier. And that's where I feel like that's the one measurement I'm good at. I'm not at all good with weight. The difference between pounds and kilograms is very blurry in my head, and neither of them mean very much to me. Distances I'm definitely not good with, but I'm getting a little better. Because again, it was one of those miles versus kilometers thing. And I'm picking kilometers. I'm finally dedicated to one or the other. But it never mattered anyway, because I was always just walking around. Everything was just a relative distance. So I'm starting to learn distances. And like I said, that tunnel was about 1 kilometer. I'm getting okay, but I'm still not good with distances. Temperature, though, I fucking know the temperature. I got that shit nailed, you know? I grew up in a fucking place that goes from minus 23 to plus 23. No fucking problem. That's a normal year, you know? And it goes further than that when you're having bad luck. I know what goddamn temperature it is, and if that had been 14 degrees, I would have fucking eaten my own shit. There's no fucking way. I didn't need to put it that way, that's gross. But anyway, Route A was much steeper, I think, because it was the shorter route than Route C. So I'm looking down at these stairs, and it's just like, whew. Again, extremely expertly maintained stairs. I just don't want to go down. Going up is tiring, but going down is, I think, worse. Because down is just, it's still hard on the legs. It's certainly not easy. And the whole time you got to be careful not to stumble. I don't enjoy going down steep stuff. So instead I just kept walking along the ridge. And I was like, I guess I don't technically know where this is leading me. This is not the best idea, but I got a couple more hours of sunlight. Through the trees, I can see Fukuoka still. It's like, as usual with this mountain literally bumps up against the residential neighborhoods. It's very hard to ever be too deep into this mountain. And I think the fact that if I pressed forward and kept going through, I got to a golf course. I don't think that's a coincidence. Or the time that I came off the mountain and I was in Sawara Ward. Like, I'm pretty sure this mountain is just surrounded by other little cities, I believe. Yeah, I mean, at the very least, there's a highway that encircles the whole thing. Aburiyama Citizens Forest, I guess they call this. So yeah, I think it's very much a case of, I don't really know that you can even really get into serious trouble on this mountain. I don't know that it's really possible, because yeah, there's highways around the whole thing on every side. If you just pick a direction and walk for 2 hours, you'll get somewhere. But still, I'm walking along the ridge, and it's like, technically I don't know where this is going, but if anything, it was even better maintained. This path is still just like perfectly maintained, except now there were sandbags people had buried into the dirt to make it even easier to get down some of the inclines. And then I just stopped here because there's another nice little hand-painted sign, which I can't read, but again, signs of civilization. But there's a little, is this thing metal? Yeah, I think it's tin. It's this little tin, oh, I see what they did. So it's a tin circular, like oval-shaped, flat tin thing that says welcome, that you would hang up somewhere. So somebody has wired that to a tree, and they painted little flowers all around it. Or actually, those flowers are probably stickers, because under it are stickers that say Mount Saru, S-A-R-U. Welcome to Mount Saru. And then they like laminated it. There's yeah, it's fully laminated on both sides as well, just so the weather won't hurt this thing. So, I mean, it's not the prettiest because it's got weird lamination on it, and it's kind of garish anyway, just this welcome sign with stickers on it. But it sure is fucking welcoming. It reminds me of Kaylee from Firefly, from the TV show, how she was the engineer. She worked in the engine room, but she painted little flowers and stuff all over just to make it a little prettier. And in the kitchen of the ship, you could tell she was the one who painted all the stuff in there. That's what this feels like. It feels like Kaylee came along and left the Welcome to Mount Saru sign. So it's just kind of neat where I'm just like, just very vaguely, just a little bit like, you know, technically I probably should have gone down Route A and gone back to my place of origin just because I know for sure where that is. But a little bit further along this ridge, and welcome to Mount Saru, the fucking literally the most friendly sign I've ever seen in my fucking life. It's like awesome. So I'm just going to continue along. This has more or less been flat, I think gradually going down. I think I am slowly going down. I was thinking how awesome this is too, where this is quite similar to the hike I did over by Umebayashi, except it was sort of more severe and steep in general. But this is also quite a bit like the hikes I did in West Tokyo, and it really is just because it's like Mother Nature has got our backs, you know? It's so cool because on both sides of this path I'm on, again, it's valleys of various levels of steepness going down on either side. It's the mountain ridge. It's like, even though these paths, be they well maintained like this one, or not maintained at all like the one I was on the other day, they still all fundamentally are just along the ridge of a mountain. And as with all things, I am generally ignorant. I don't really know anything about mountains or mountaineering or topography of the earth and how anything relates to anything. I didn't really know that this was how you walked along a mountain, that the ridges are just where you can walk. They're just like nature's path. They're just naturally set up. Like no amount of people maintaining a path would even be possible anywhere but the ridge. The ridge is the thing. And then from the ridge, you can tramp down, just if people use it a lot, a trail develops, and then you can take it from there. You can add sandbags, and you can add steps, and you can add markers, and you can add welcome signs, and you can add ropes if it gets steep. But it's all kind of just already here. It's like fundamentally, this is just how mountain walking works. And it's just wonderful. It's just fucking great. Now that I'm heading down too, I feel a lot better. Heading up was what I needed some food energy for. Oh, is that I see something through the trees that I can't tell if it's water or if it's a road, but it's just where you immediately see a color, where everything here is all green and brown. Just the brown of tree trunks, the brown of the dirt, and the green of all the foliage. Down through the trees there, not too far away, there's just an unnatural color. And I think it's a road, if I had to guess. It looks like a road. It's very hard to tell though. But yeah, again, man, hiking in Fukuoka, it's so good. I mean, I liked those hikes in Tokyo, but there was more trepidation to it in the sense that it was just bigger, weirder, steeper mountains that seemed to go further away. And you got guys with bear bells and I don't know, I definitely felt, I didn't think I did anything too crazy when I was out there, but it did seem like you're really getting to the edge of civilization and you could just travel off and spin off into nowhere and just be in the woods for the rest of your goddamn life is how it felt. Probably not true. But yeah, this mountain in Fukuoka, it's just so easy. It reminds me of the UNB woodlot in my hometown. Is similar, it's smaller, but it's also encased by highways. It was a nice place to tromp around in because it was extremely undeveloped. You know, you're just walking through nature. Oh yeah, it's a road. That's a road for sure. Nice. But it was a nice walk that, again, in that case, if you just walked for an hour or 40 minutes in any given direction, you'll hit a highway. Very safe, just like a nothing can go wrong kind of place to hike. And this mountain is so much more impressive, like it really is a mountain. From a distance, it's fucking gigantic. It's like, whoa, look at that big mountain. It's fucking towering and majestic. But then when you actually approach it and go up in it, it's just not a big deal. It's all these nice little hikes that are very close to civilization. I definitely cannot recommend it enough. And yeah, once you're up here, it's just good. It's just good stuff. I guess the one thing I should say is out by the observation deck, maybe even because there's people, we did have a run-in 2019 with a boar family. Wild boars are in this part of Japan. And it was one of those situations where they just weren't scared of people. Me and Brad were at the observation deck, and it was just, he had a like a convenience store plastic bag with an empty bag of chips in it that he just put down briefly while we took pictures of the view and stuff. And yeah, this boar came out of the woods and snagged the bag and ran off with it. And it's just like, it was getting dark. It was like dusk. And it was kind of scary because a boar is not a small animal, you know. But all it did was it nabbed this thing and ran off with it. And it's like, oh shit, didn't even realize that could be a thing. But it's probably, like, that's a big problem on Mount Royal in Montreal. Or at least it was. I noticed that area seemed to be quite cordoned off now. Maybe they're trying to ameliorate the situation. But these raccoons on Mount Royal are completely pacified by tourists, because tourists just show up for the view, come in on a tour bus, and just feed the raccoons junk food. And they're it's this weird situation where the raccoons are really fat and lazy and literally just loll around and like climb into garbage cans and amble back out. And it's like sort of neat in a way. It's like, wow, there's just raccoons all over the place, huh? But clearly not correct, you know? This is not how things are supposed to be. So I suspect it might have been a similar thing with the boars. Maybe there's enough tourism, enough through traffic in that specific area that the boars are learning they might be able to steal someone's chip bag. So just for full transparency, be aware of that. No bears in Kyushu, but there are boars. I passed very close to the street down there, but now the path is heading up again. But again, I guess it's the ridge of the mountain, at the mercy of the ridge. I'll just have to keep going until an exit reveals itself. But even that, it's nice to know, should I be desperate, if it was getting really dark or something, that would have been tricky. It would have been not especially pleasant to bushwhack my way down to that road, but I could have. Would have been no big problem. Well, unfortunately, this has gotten a bit fucking annoying. So, because I just kept hiking along the ridge and it was great. It was fine. You know, still well maintained. There was a sign with enough English that had this way forward to P7. Where I just left was P5. I assume the P means peak. You know, I could just keep going. But I think what I've learned is don't walk along the ridge if you don't have enough time. I mean, it's like 4:35. Still very light right now, but it won't be soon. You know, I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, it just kept going down and then back up and then down and back up and down and back up until I was finally like, fuck you. Why is there no escape to this? Let me out of here. I don't want to go up again. I've had enough of this. And I started thinking, you know, that road I saw was just empty and I don't hear any people. I thought maybe, could this be the mythical golf course? But finally there was, at one of the lower parts, just quite a gradual, easy way down. No path at all. I had to fully just bushwhack my way through. But it was very gentle and not a problem. This looks promising. And as I went down, I saw 2 golf balls, one brightly colored, one just standard white. So I was like, okay, yeah, so that is golf. And like I said at the other golf course, I'm not quite sure what to think about golf. It's an insane use of space for something I don't give a sweet fuck about. So this is quite weird. This golf course is fucking really big, but it's just in the middle of the mountain. I don't quite know how this all happened or how this worked. If this is a natural formation, it's quite something that you can just, in the middle of a mountain, just have a golf course. But I mean, this seems like a good spot. If you're gonna have a golf course take up a lot of space, it might as well be in the middle of a mountain. No one's fucking using that space. But yeah, I got down to the bottom and there was a fence I had to hop over. Luckily, it wasn't any of these like crazy barbed wire super fences. It was a nothing, easy to cross fence. But now I'm in the golf course and there's not a fucking soul here. Maybe it's closed for the season, I don't know. Nobody here. No signs of people, no nothing. And I've been in here for a while, just walking, and I don't know where to go. I don't know what, I mean, I'm on a paved path. You know, what's the worst that could happen? I'm in the golf course now. I think functionally I'm in society again. But I'm just basically, I can see Fukuoka in the distance. Oh, bamboo here. I can see Fukuoka in the distance down the hill. So I'm just moving in that direction. And yeah, I'm just going further and further down, walking on the paved path. I don't know what's going to happen when I finally get to the edge of this golf course. Is that going to be awkward? Are they going to try to trap me in? Am I going to have to awkwardly explain to someone? I don't know, but it's a little, I fucked up, man. I should have gone back on Route A, done the loop. Because like the episode I did when I first got here to Fukuoka, where I walked up Mount Aburayama and then took a random path and bushwhacked my way down. I decided to call that episode How an Idiot Hikes in Japan. And in my infinite hubris, I was like, hey, maybe this episode could be called How a Smart Guy Hikes in Japan. You know, where at the outset there was a map. A great, geez, I'm just looking out across this endless fucking golf course. God, golf courses are big. It's fucking crazy. The one in my hometown is pretty fucking big that I've stumbled onto in similar circumstances. It's not this fucking big. Is that someone moving? Is that a person? I don't know. I can't even tell. Too far away. Anyway, yeah, I was like, maybe I can call this one How a Smart Person Hikes. Because at the outset there was a map and it had the 3 routes and it had the distances. 600 meters there and back. Bing, bang, boom. No problemo. But I didn't do the proper loop, so this has become How an Idiot Hikes Part 2. God damn it. Fuck. So again, I mean, I'm fine. I'm just in a golf course. The worst thing that's going to happen at this point is social shame of just like, what are you doing here? How did you end up in here? Because if there really is just nobody here and I just have to escape from the golf course, I don't think that'll be a big problem. But at least, judging by my Google Maps, I mean, I am kind of heading toward civilization. Yeah, I don't know, just on that ridge. It was just the wrong way. It was just taking me away. And it would never stop. And I mean, again, maybe that is just because of the natural design of the mountain. Maybe there just is no good way to get off of there. Or perhaps more likely, they don't want people to get off of there because then you'll be spit out in the golf course. And Lord knows we wouldn't want that. Golfers don't need hikers interfering with their pastime. Because it was starting to seem unnatural. Like, there has to be a way off of this mountain. Why the fuck does it just keep going from peak to peak to peak? How do I get the fuck out of here? And then, yeah, it turns out it really wasn't that hard to get out of there. I just had to make my own way. Now I'm in a golf course. God, fuck me. All right, I think I've gotten away with this. I'm on a road with definitely nowhere for pedestrians to walk, but that's fine. But there's like a little gutter, and I'm on the other side of the gutter, just walking. There's like at least some space. That was a plot point in Initial D, by the way. This mountain reminds me a lot of Initial D, not this specific part, but when you take the road up to the Aburayamakatai observation deck, it's a short little run, but it felt longer for me because I was on foot. And Initial D all takes place in Gunma, and it's all about street racing in the mountains. And this is one of the things, this gutter that's at the edge of the street is an Initial D plot point where it's weird because I don't know anything about cars. I don't have a license. I've never driven. Oh yeah, nice. There's a truck going by. But yeah, this is like, I'm quite sure, a public. Before I ramble about Initial D, yeah, I'll just finish that thought. I'm quite sure this is a public street getting me out of here. I was afraid I would come upon a gate, to let you into the golf course. But I think in this case, it's just that the golf course is so goddamn far away, way up the mountains. I don't think there's any need to gate people to bar them from entry. Jeez, what is that noise? I don't think you need to officially bar people from entry. I think you just, you wouldn't drive all the way up here to the golf course unless you had a reason to go up here to the golf course. However, now I'm afraid I do have quite a long walk ahead of me that is going to be all this shit where no fucking sensible person should be walking. But eventually I'll get to Nakagawa City Gymnasium. That's fun. Yeah, and from there, still quite a walk. Still quite a walk home. Yeah, ooh, that's far. 5.5, whatever. It only seems long because, I've just been a little tired today. But I do feel a lot less tired now. I think my brain has woken up. Oh yeah, this curving mountain road. Whew. Should be drifting around this bad boy for sure. But yeah, I do feel better in general because I think at some point my body was just like, okay, this is what we're doing today. You can keep trying to pull me back to bed. You can keep trying to tell me that I'm tired. It doesn't matter. We're walking on mountain ridges now. This is what's happening today. There's no point. There is no point in trying to tell me I'm tired anymore because I ain't going back. I can't go back. This is what we're doing now. So now I feel like a lot better. I feel pretty good, actually. So yeah, 5 kilometers. Fuck it. Who gives a shit? It's no biggie. This is actually a little bit busy, this road. And there are occasional turnoffs. I've seen 2 of them so far. And like this one here, it does have a light, which is lit. It's still, what time is it now? 5:08. It's still light out, but yeah, it won't be for long. But I think I better just stay on the main route. This sucks, though. This sucks. This is not where a fucking person's supposed to walk. But I mean, I think this was my best case scenario. I'm off the mountain. I'm on a road. I'm free. I've escaped. And I didn't even have to shamefully explain to someone with my Google Translate or something. Sumimasen, I got lost in the woods. I was hiking. It was going to get dark. I just had to escape. Now I need to escape from... Because even escaping from the golf course, really complicated. I was like, what is this shit? But luckily I found the clubhouse. I did see some people. They were just groundskeepers. One of them, who was fertilizing the ground, definitely gave me a confused look. So I waved to him. That's all I could do. But from there... Yeah, that's I'll take that as a thankful thing, that you can just leave in a public capacity. I avoided the shame. What's the physical toil compared to the shame? I'd rather have a long, exhausted walk on a road I'm not supposed to be on than to be shamed. Shame is so much worse. So yeah, I mean, today almost worked out. I almost nailed it. And then I didn't. I fumbled at the 0 hour and made the day stupid. I bet, though, I mean, it was hard to appreciate because I was stressed. But realistically, that was an interesting experience. That golf course was so huge and there's so many good views. If you're a golfer, dude, go check out this golf course that's apparently just on the fucking mountain. Because it's really big. You get to have your golf experience. And then peeking through the trees is an amazing view of Fukuoka from like all over the place. A mountaintop golf course. What the fuck? It'll probably seem neat in my memory, but yeah, in the moment where I'm still like the worst kind of escape from a mountain ever. Like I escaped into a golf prison. I'm like, I still don't know how to get out of here. I don't know how golf courses work. What the fuck is this shit? It was the worst escape of all time. But now I'm for real escaped. And once I get off of this goddamn mountain road, I'll be truly escaped back into civilization and everything will be fine. I'm trying to step aside onto the other side of the gutter whenever a car comes by. There's an annoying amount of traffic on this street. But yeah, there's just some places where you just can't. There's not a lot of room. And I can't quite step in the gutter because it's got water in it. Anyway, what I was saying about Initial D is I don't know about the actual logistics of driving, but I have to assume that it's relatively accurate because it's a very famous manga. And I see all over the place his new series. It's called Ghost MF and it's about motorcycle racing. I started reading it once, but I never stuck with it. And I mean, I'm still only halfway through Initial D. Initial D went like, I don't know how many volumes, 30, 40, 50, so fucking many. So I'll just wait till Ghost MF is over. That's what I did with Gantz. I started reading Gantz way back in the day, but then I got to where they were at. So I went back to it years later when it was finished and just started over. And that's the way to go with manga. Just wait till it's done and read it. Because trying to keep up with it, I mean, it'll take your whole life. It'll take decades for these things to end sometimes. But Initial D, I was like surprised how much I liked it because I'm not a driving guy and I don't care about driving. But I was saying, like, I have to presume it's probably kind of accurate because people who are into driving still like it. You know, it's very famous street racing manga. There's an anime too, but don't watch the anime. The anime has CG cars and silly Eurobeat music, where the manga is kind of austere and cool and arguably kind of meditative to read because it is hundreds and hundreds of very short chapters. I think it was a weekly comic. So every week a new chapter would come out. So it was not uncommon. Oh, here's a path up into the woods. That looks cool, but I'm afraid not. Not today. It's still sunny out, but that would be the most insane thing I could ever do. But yeah, there'll be chapters. Usually there's a lot of either people with a lot of exposition explaining the current state of the race, or just sometimes captions. But sometimes there's chapters that are just driving. Just nothing happens except the two racers focusing on the road and taking turns. But yeah, it's strangely meditative to read because each race takes so long and so little happens in any given chapter. But it's also interesting, like, how does it keep upping the ante? You know, like, once you've used one secret racing trick, you can't really use it again. Now you got to come up with a new secret racing trick. So one of the secret racing tricks was these gutters. The idea of the story is that the main character, his car is not actually as good as everyone else's car, but he's been secretly trained by his dad during tofu delivery runs to drive this sports car. So he didn't even realize it was a sports car. He didn't realize that, you know, he just thought it was his dad being lazy. Like, dad just doesn't want to get up at 4 a.m. to go deliver tofu up in the mountains. But that gave him this head start of many years over everyone else, where he was driving before he should have been allowed to drive. So his car is not as fast as everyone else's car, but his technique is so good that he keeps finding ways to eke out victories. And one of them are these gutters that you can really take a turn at a fairly severe rate of speed. Because if you watch like people do drifting in real life, it's weirdly slow. Drifting is like a weird, I don't know how sensible of a technique it really is in reality, because you lose so much speed when you're sliding around turns. So he slid at a much too high rate of speed that should have just sent him careening off the road. But he got his wheel kind of wedged inside one of these gutters, and that kept him from spinning off the road. That like centered him again. And that's probably, I got to assume at that point, you know, this is a ways into the comic, that's probably wildly unrealistic. I doubt that that's even possible. But in the comic, they're like, oh shit, that's a crazy technique. First off, who would ever think to do that? And second off, that fucks up your axle so bad and ruins your tires. Like, you're going to pay for that later in the race. And it's such a perfect example of what is exciting about that comic. But even beyond that, because, you know, there reaches a point after you've read so many chapters of that type of shit, it's hard to care anymore. It's like, yeah, he always finds a way to win, you know, whatever. But the main artist, as I understand it, is not the guy who draws the nature parts, the mountain scenes. Somebody else does that, one of his assistants. And whoever does that is a goddamn genius. Like, the pictures of the trees and of the mountain countryside is so fucking beautiful. It's just endlessly awesome to me. It's such a beautiful comic. I recommend at least giving it a little shot. Check it out. Because, yeah, the views of the mountain are really good. Oh. So yeah, this this sucks, but I must be almost through this now. I'm sure all these people driving by are like, sweet Enola Gay, son. What is this? What are you doing here? Yeah, the mountain ridges, specifically in Fukuoka, but because there's a certain similarity to all of these situations, it's probably true everywhere. Don't think you can get off of the mountain in a hurry. If you're at all concerned about time, just take the most direct way out of there and get the fuck out of there. Don't dick around. Don't have hubris when you're on a mountain, ever. Don't think, oh, I got 2 hours. Surely there's another path down in the next 2 hours, because there might not be, and there wasn't today. It just wasn't coming. Oh, yeah, now I'm still above the city, but I don't feel like I'm on a mountain anymore. I'm kind of just lined in, just looking out. Like, there's some big apartment buildings in the distance, and I feel like I'm right at the same height as those. I'm not mountain height anymore. Oh my God. I just pulled up the little map to see how close I was getting, and I saw a Lawson pop up. No, I guess not. It's close on the map, but it's not close on the road. This road I'm on doesn't connect to the Lawsons. But very soon I'll be back in civilization, and there'll be all the fucking Lawsons and 7-Elevens and Family Marts that a fucking yearning young man of 43 could ever want. And then I can finally eat. I haven't eaten yet today. This is nice too. It's 5:22. Still not dark. Definitely being in Fukuoka bought me some time. Pretty sure that when I was in Tokyo, it was dark at this time. Where I feel like I'm probably going to edge up on 6 o'clock before it's dark around here. Which is nice. Very handy. This area, by the way, is just a lot of like yards. Like, I always used to use the word industrial, but it's not industrial. Agricultural, I guess, is better. Because it is just a lot of broken down equipment and random shit piled everywhere. Over here, there's like a bunch of shipping container looking things all just piled up at the edge of the forest for some reason. Big rubber tubing, steel pipes. I don't know what any of this stuff is for. Like a silo looking thing, trucks, zero pedestrians. You're definitely supposed to have some farm vehicles and equipment if you live out here. But it's nice. It's not bad. Eventually, I guess that was a success. But I mean, I don't know. On a pass-fail, that was a fail, for sure. I fucked up. I had to force my way off a mountain, hop a fence into a golf course. I don't think I've ever hopped a fence in fucking Japan before. Definitely a failure overall. But interesting information came of it. And the first 3 quarters was fucking great. It started off so great. And I just had to push it. Just had to push it a little too far. Oh, geez, is that a drink machine? All right, I'm for sure back in civilization now. All right, well, we can't end without that. Let me see what's in this fucking drink machine. It's a black Coca-Cola machine. A little bit unusual looking. You don't see a lot of Coke machines sometimes, but with the red Coca-Cola writing. Maybe I should just get a Coke. I haven't gotten one since I've been here. And they do, in fact, have Coca-Cola. Then the rest is, I'm starting to, the rest is all Georgia coffee. I'm starting to be a little suspect of Georgia and Boss coffee. They seem kind of bad. But if I get a Coke, I'm going to have to piss. Fuck it. I made it this far. Just keep going. You're almost in Conveni land. Just keep going. Okay. Oh, and there's somebody on a bicycle. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. I'm back in the world. I'm in the countryside world, but I'm in the real world again. Whew. All right, I finally got some food in me. What a stupid fucking day. What a stupid day to just go up in the mountains and not even have eaten. Holy shit. Anyway, God, that feels so much better. Holy goddamn. It's funny too, I just said Coke branded vending machines. You don't see those too often. Literally every single one I've seen since then has been a Coke branded machine. That one I saw, I guess it was a little unusual because it was a black machine with red Coke writing. The rest are red machines with black writing. But they're fucking everywhere. It's one of those things, I guess, like when you realize Coke owns Dasani, Coke must own Georgia coffee here. But I was extremely wrong about it'll probably be light until 6 o'clock. By 6 o'clock, it was already dead dark. Now I think it's closer to 6:30. I'm not quite sure exactly when it got dark, but again, it's that super unreal. I mean, today at least I can see some clouds, but when there's not clouds, and there's the moon. So I guess it depends. Round about the moon, it kind of looks like a normal sky, but then if you look the other way, it's just that scary, creepy, endless, goddamn, Lovecraftian void of nothingness. Dark. There's another one, Coke machine, Georgia coffee. But I just wanted to mention that I just stopped at a 7-Eleven to get food, and this walk, God, way longer than I want it to be. Just walking and walking and walking. I'm not even halfway there yet. It's like, fuck. But yeah, again, that food, man, that made me... I was so fucked up feeling that I didn't want to eat. You know, just it's like, feels like work to eat food. And then I was like, also, I guess I should stop in this washroom before I go. But even that, it just felt like effort. Oh my God, are you kidding? I gotta go into a washroom with a heated toilet seat and a bidet function? That's too much work. The greatest toilet in the world is too much work. Once I get some food in me, it's like, okay, now I'm coming back to fucking reality. This is fine. This is not a big deal. But yeah, I was really feeling bad. Holy shit. But that 7-Eleven was just delightful, because this is just kind of a 7-Eleven somewhere on the outskirts of Fukuoka, kind of a busy street, but very bland, very nondescript. Big string of cars in front of me, lots of red lights, but no one's moving too fast. But I just wanted to mention it because it just had such a neat vibe. It was already super dark by the time I got there. And I went inside and I got a chicken cutlet sandwich, and then I got the local 7-Eleven variant of the dessert sandwich. This one was tangerine and pear, I think, maybe one other thing. It wasn't quite as fancy as the Family Mart one. It didn't have kiwi, but it did seem to have more innards in it. And then whipped cream and white bread. And I found a new variety of the little cups of coffee with the little Capri Sun straws that I've never seen before. This one was extra milk. So they show on the side how much coffee, sugar, and milk. And this one had 4 out of 4 milk and 3 out of 4 sugar, which you'd think be too much because I'm usually trying to go for less sugar, if any sugar. But I think it balanced out with the milk. It was pretty tasty. It was all right. But the two ladies running this convenience store were just so nice. I mean, everyone's nice in Japan, but you can really feel it, I guess, when, I don't know, it's like I feel like I got a VIP vibe of like, what the heck are you doing here, my man? You know? Why is there some random white guy here in our random 7-Eleven in this random part of town at a random time of night? And I guess I do find it a little tricky in Tokyo, I think because, fairly so, I think people expect me to have some Japanese. So they ask me stuff without pantomime, where these ladies, I appreciated it. They were very much like, do you need a bag? Pantomime. Man, I'll take that. I'll take a pantomime any day. But the whole place was spotless, just spick and span, one of the nicest 7-Elevens ever. Like, there's a nice thing about being in a less trafficked area sometimes. It's like, and also having employees where, again, like I feel like almost everyone in Japan is extremely diligent about everything. But when you go that little extra step beyond, you could really get the vibe that these two were taking it serious. This was their store. And the whole place was just like perfectly arranged at every turn. So I stood out front in the unreal darkness, which again, it's kind of like that 7-Eleven I stopped at near Yoyogi, where it feels sort of more like you're in a tiny play than you are in real life. It's like, how is this not just a diorama set up for me? How is this just life happening around me? Because it all feels so perfectly meticulous and so perfectly set up. And I'm just watching people come and go. And it's so strange too with just people driving on the other side of the road, so the wheel is on the other side of the car. So a car pulled into the parking lot, and as I glanced up, the person who I would expect to be the driver in North America was clapping his hands as the car turned and pulled into a stop. And just for that moment, I was like, what the fuck is happening? How is that guy turning perfectly into a parking spot while clapping his hands? It doesn't even make sense. And I was like, oh right, he's the passenger, jeez. And I kind of stood out there for a bit, taking my time eating, because also I just didn't want to eat too fast, because I felt initially like I didn't want to eat, but now that I have eaten, I very much needed that. So I stood out there for a few minutes and didn't realize for some time that there was a car out there idling while the mom was in the convenience store. There were 2 kids just waiting in the car. And then I saw them. I was like, oh shit. I did not wave though, because I just felt like, I don't know, maybe that's a little weird. Normally if someone's walking by with a baby or a baby in a carriage or even just a kid, I love like waving to kids, acknowledging kids. It's a weird thing, like ever since I was young, my mom always points it out, that kids seem to like me. They just seem to like gravitate. Their eyes at least, they're always like interested in me for whatever reason. And the little bit that I've babysat, to be frank, I'm a really good babysitter. But in this case, I don't know. It's like, it might seem weird, I felt like, to wave to these kids that were in the car. So I just I just didn't. I just went back to eating my fucking sandwich and let them stare at me. Let them stare at the random guy standing outside eating sandwiches. But it's just that brought back weird memories where that happens a lot in Japan, where you get these throwback memories, largely based on smoking. But every time you see a cigarette machine or you see a smoking room, I've been seeing more and more of those. They're all over the place once you start searching for them, the smoking rooms. It feels like the 80s. It's like, oh yeah, back in the time when everybody smoked. And then even just the way people dress. I've heard it described as like a throwback all the way to the 50s. Men in the suits and the women in skirts, and I don't know if that's true. I wasn't around for the 50s, but it certainly doesn't feel modern, like I've mentioned before too. Like, it's quite modest around here. It's just skirts mostly, you know? Maybe a mini skirt if you're really going out on the town. A lot of shawls and sweaters. It's like almost like grandma chic, but it's kind of cool. And yeah, that just reminded me that leaving your kids in the car, parked car, while you go do something, that's one of those things that, you know, goes in waves, where in my case it would be quite short stays. You know, it's like, hey, just wait here, and then a parent would go do whatever they had to do, but it might be like the grocery store or something. You know, it would be like, I remember being left in a car with my brother for 10 or 20 minutes, probably. And now in the current era, you would just never do that, you know, because I also, when I was a kid, it's like, all right, I wouldn't even say I'm leaving. I wouldn't tell anybody. Just hop on a bicycle and go drive to a different neighborhood and fuck around with my friends, and no one ever knew what I was up to or what I was doing. And that's not on anymore. Which is one of those things, it's probably more sensible that people are a little more aware of what the heck their kids are doing, but it's kind of a neat nostalgic throwback to that feeling. But it was so much more extreme in my mom's age, where she said like her dad would go to like the Legion Hall and go in and get drunk with his friends and leave whatever gaggle of kids he had with him that day, because she has 12 brothers and sisters, just in the car for hours. And every once in a while she would just get so pissed she'd have to go in and drag him out and then drunk drive home. So just, yeah, a whole different world beyond the different world I'm from. So this was nothing like that. Not even like it was for me. The mom was only in there for a few minutes, and it's just super safe Japanese parking lot, you know, just hanging out there. But you just don't see that in North America. You'd never see it, ever. So it's just that kind of thing that's like, ah, yeah, look at that. I remember what that was like. Me and my brother left in the car for a bit, and now there's these two Japanese kids, little brother and sister, just hanging out in the car, just waiting for mom to come back. So anyway, though, now this is where my brain plays tricks on me, that I feel so much better right now, getting some food in me and a little coffee and some whipped cream, some sugar energy too. But what I gotta do is I need to stay home tomorrow. I can't keep doing this. I've been pushing for over a month, every day. Every day is a gigantic, massive, ridiculous, day-long adventure. And I think I'm just getting to realize that that's the only way it can be. Today was supposed to be a very short, all right, I've only got 3 or 4 hours of daytime. Just, I don't know, go to the mountains and come back, or go to Tully's and come back, and that's it. And that's not what happened, and that's never what happens. There is no such thing as a little quick pop-out mini adventure in Japan. Everything is the end of the world. Everything is the biggest goddamn Goonies, goddamn Stand By Me quest of all fucking time, and I gotta take a day off. I am wearing myself down to the nub here. This is getting ridiculous. So I know tomorrow, no matter how I feel tomorrow, I'm gonna wanna go outside and be drawn towards some big landmark or something and go have an adventure, because that's exactly what happened today. I felt like shit. I absolutely knew, don't go out and do stuff. You're not in the condition to do this. And I did it anyway. And tomorrow the exact same thing's gonna happen. So tomorrow I have to stay in. I have to spend a day just hanging out at the Airbnb, maybe go around the corner to the fucking Family Mart, and that's it. stay home. Stay home, you fucking moron. Stay home. Just day after day after day after day of just pushing it too hard. And yet today, this was just ridiculous. Stay home, man. Stay the fuck home. So I'll see you next episode for the exciting stay home adventures, which I will surely succeed in accomplishing. But it really is, it's sort of like yoga. It's sort of like meditation. It's that idea that the quote-unquote easy thing to do is actually harder. It's harder to calm your mind than it is to let it race. It's harder to do meditation than it is to just do work. It's harder for me to stay at home than it is to go outside and walk. Because I do like this better in general. I want to be out in the world. I want to go see stuff. I want to do stuff. Stimulate the brain. Learn some things. Have stuff happen. But I just take a day. Just take a fucking day, you dumb dog shit fuck. Because this is getting ridiculous. All right, thank you for listening. See you next time.